Hello and welcome to this week's Zentangle Untangled. I'm coming to you from a different table this week, so hopefully you like the color of this table. We're going to start out with our standard box, or whatever shape it is that you prefer. It doesn't matter which direction you go, but I'm going to go horizontally. I'm just going to kind of divide this section into wavy lines. The waves do not need to line up. You want to try and keep your spacing approximately the same though. So if you have, mine are probably about a ½ inch or so, you want to try and keep similar spacing to that. So just kind of fill up your section, something like that would be fine. From the top, I'm just going to go to the first one. I'm going to draw a line that arches open at the bottom, so you can kind of see it's skinny up at the top and it gets wider when it hits the line. I'm going to come back in and draw, basically it's like a little trumpet horn or something like that, a little like long one. And it's going to end on the wavy line, and I'm going to just continue down the column. This bottom one you won't quite see the flare all the way at the bottom, but yours might have a full one. So the next line, I'm going to come down one step from the first one and do exactly the same thing. So basically the horn part, or the bell part of the horn, should be opposite or alternating. So one on one line, the next column it's on the other line. So you're just going to continue to alternate. So I'm going to go back to the top here and draw the bottom part of the horn here. Continue on my line down here and just keep working my way into different columns all the way across left to right. So now this part gets a little bit tricky to see, but we're going to kind of create the back section to make the bell part look 3D. So you're going to find the bell, and on the back side you're just going to create, if you can see on the large picture on the left of the screen, you're going to kind of create this little, kind of like a smiley, a smiley face, but it goes behind. So you're going to jump over the skinny part of the horn. So it should look like the bell part of the 3D part of the bell, here like this. So you have the line there, and you have the next horn here. You're going to kind of draw a little smiley face, but you're going to stop and jump over or cross over the other skinny bell. So you want to do that type of thing on each of the bottom bells, or excuse me, the bottom of each bell, excuse me. I'm going to switch over to my large marker just for the sake of coloring purposes. If you don't have one, you can certainly use a pen or find any color marker that you have that you want to use the background for. So obviously I'm coloring in the negative space, so I don't want to color in any of the bell sections or the horn sections, excuse me. I'm just coloring in the background. So you can see on the picture on the left kind of what you should end up with. So it's easy for me, at least to begin with, to go down one column, and color the background in for all of those, and then I can kind of see, it makes it a little bit easier to see because your eyes can get fooled pretty quickly with all these lines on here, so you can do it however you'd like. So for the sake of the length of the video, I'm not going to do any shading, but you can certainly add some shading on the left or part of the bell section, whatever it is that you want to do to add a little detail if you wish to. You don't have to, of course, but if you wish to. So the next section, I'm just going to do it a little bit smaller. This pattern, you can make it as a border or you can use it as a fill section. The trick to it, though, is that you want to have even spaced columns. So you can use a ruler if you'd like to kind of space it out. I'm going to eyeball it and see how good I do. So I put one line in the middle, and then I can already tell I'm off. So I put one line in the middle, and then I'm going to do an even number of lines on each side. So I'm just going to fix this one piece. Just disregard the skinny little section here. Just ignore that part. So now I'm going to draw my columns here, and I should have, well, I'm going to have 5, of course. Excuse me, 6. You can have however many you want, but you just want to make sure that they're evenly spaced or as much as possible. And then you want to divide that into rows as well using approximately the same spacing. I'm just going to do 3. You could certainly have as many as you want. I can already tell that mine are not very straight, but that's okay. So starting in the top corner, I'm going to do an arched line that goes from corner diagonally to the other corner and then back out, and it's basically going to make a diamond or a rhombus, but the sides need to be arched slightly. You don't want them to be straight. So for the next one, you're going to kind of jump over that section and come down behind it. So this piece here is going to look like it's behind the first one. So I'm going to start here and just kind of pull my pen across and not make a line until I get beyond that line, and then finish my diamond or rhombus from there. So that one's a little off right there, but you can see my spacing is a little off, but that's all right. I'm just going to keep going all the way across the row. For me, it's easier to work in rows since they kind of tuck behind each other, and that way I'm kind of repeating the same motion with the pen over and over. It's a little bit easier to keep everything straight. I'm going to add a little detail in here. Of course, this is completely optional. I'm basically just retracing inside of each diamond. So this one here, I'll see all of it, and then you can continue on with each row from there. You can draw whatever it is that you like. So for the next line, you're going to do that same thing where you kind of draw it behind the other one. This one here is a little bit tricky because you can play with your eyes. So you see how it kind of tucks there? So I'm going to come down a little bit and just draw this little piece. And I'm going to go back out and draw down, and then come back over, and then stop when I get to the line. So you have to imagine there's a little bit of a thing. You can do this in pencil, of course, the first time until you get it square. Well, it's not squared until you figure it out, I guess. It's not a square design, but you understand what I mean. So just that little piece in the center of each of those will be visible. Something like that. Now you can have as many rows and columns as you'd like. I think this design loses a little bit when you don't have an even number of rows and columns. So what I mean by that is you don't want to have, usually on the right or the bottom or wherever it is, your pattern kind of just dies off. This pattern looks a little funny if you don't have that. So it's up to you how you want to do it, but for me, I like it when it's complete. You can see the complete rhombuses. It's up to you. So you can add that little detail from the first row onto this if you wish. You can color in the whole entire background. It's up to you. You can pretty much decorate these however you want. It's kind of a complicated looking design, but once you break it down, it's not so bad, so it's kind of nice. It looks really neat when the whole background is colored, so that's certainly an option for you as well. So this one here, I'm going to switch to a pencil. I'm going to draw this part a little bit darker so that you can see. So it's kind of like one of those old-fashioned Christmas lights. It's kind of like a, I don't even know, like an almond shape, I guess. So now I'm going to switch over to my pen, and I'm going to be drawing the lines that go kind of horizontally. So you start up and then you come back down. So it has to have that same shape, and now you do the same thing in reverse. And that's what's going to give it that 3D look, like it wraps around. So you start here, come over a little bit, cross over the whole thing, and then die off. And then do the exact same thing in the opposite, making sure that you kind of go over the edge, over the pencil edge, a little bit on each one. Sorry, there's a bug on the table. So these horizontal pieces, or these kind of wraparound pieces, they can be as thick as you'd like. I kind of like it when they're a little bit daintier, a little bit thinner, but it's entirely up to you what look you're going for. And I'm just going to work my way all the way down this almond shape. Some of them can be a little bit more arched. You don't have to be 100% uniform. You just want to kind of keep the same direction going for all of this. So you can see that it wraps around the whole almond shape. Now I'm going to start and go down the center. I'm going to draw another oval. And this line here, it should follow the angle of the almond. So you can kind of see I'm veering off to the left here. And I have a little one at the bottom that goes right to the point, and then a little one at the top that goes right to the point. So you can see that it kind of makes a wave. So if your almond is more straight up and down, then your center circles or ovals will be straight up and down. So now I'm going to go to, fill up the rest of these rows. On these end ones, you don't want your circle to go beyond your pencil line. So I'll show you on this side. I'm going to kind of draw at the top, follow my pencil line, and come back up. So it should, you can see it a little bit better on the blow-up picture on the left. It should be the end pieces should follow where the pencil line is. It can bubble out slightly from your pencil, so it looks a little bit more like a dollop there if you want, but don't go beyond your section. So it's kind of a triangular section here. I'm going to make it more bulbous at the bottom, so it looks like those circles wrap around this almond. So I'm going to come up, follow my pencil, and make that little shape. So you want to continue on through that with all of your rows that you have. Now that everything is in place, I'm going to color in the background. This part does take a little bit of time, so if you want to switch to a thinner marker of some kind, you certainly can do that. You can do it with a pen too, of course. So you're just coloring in the background behind each of the ovals. So for these horizontal, the original wraparound pieces that we did, the original design that I saw has a bunch of little circles in it, and I had tried it with a couple of other designs in there, filling it with a different thing, and it kind of loses something if you just color it in. So maybe use a gray, if you just wanted to color it in, you could just use like another color or a gray or something like that, or a gold would look really neat, where you just kind of color that whole thing in. But the original design I had seen has these little teeny tiny circles that are immediately next to each other across the entire wraparound piece, or this horizontal piece. So I actually really liked it. I thought it looked really, really neat. So that's the one that I'm going to draw here, is the one that I saw on the original design. So the last detail of this is something that you don't really want to skip, is to add a little bit of shading to the ovals. Hold your hand weight out the end of your pencil, and then for me, I like to do my shading on the right side and the bottom side. So it's up to you if you want to go to left and bottom or left and top, whatever. You just have to know where your light source is going to be. So for this example, my light source is way up here on the left, so all of my shadows on these like 3D blob pieces will be on the bottom and on the right hand side. So you can start out a little bit lighter if you want. You're basically just gliding your pencil in little circles to fill in the right side and the bottom side. I'm not even sure how much you can see on the actual video here, but hopefully you can get the idea. And these ones on the very far end are pretty much all going to be shaded. There's probably a little bit of lightness, but the far ones are going to be shaded pretty extensively, because the light source, that's the furthest away from the light source. So kind of just do some shading on all the pieces and see what looks good. For the sake of the video, I'm not going to have you watch me do all the shading of all these little blobs, but hopefully you continue on and finish up your piece. So I just wanted to thank you for drawing with me today. I do hope that you enjoyed the patterns for today, and there is some very exciting news that Zentangle Untangled is going to be live in person in the library on Thursday, April 22nd from 6:30 until 7:30. We'll learn 3 new patterns. I will still be posting a video of the drawings as well, so if you're not quite ready to do in person, that's just fine. But if you wish to, we will be meeting in the library. So you can look online for details. I hope to see you soon. Have a great day.